President Trump wipes out Iran's nuclear facilities and now mentions the word regime change. Here's why Trump is trending today. All right, so today's Trump is trending. We're focusing on the only thing that's trending right now, and that is the U.S. has carried out a successful mission of bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. This has sparked debate on both sides of the aisle, but also within the MAGA party. So one of the things from the left we are hearing is that this was unconstitutional. You're constantly hearing this from the lawmakers on the left, even some of the Trump derangement syndrome people on the right. So we have Thomas Massie, who just hates President Donald Trump, calling this unconstitutional. Let's get that out of the way right now. This was 100% not unconstitutional. President Donald Trump is within his authority to do this. He is protected for doing this. And it's interesting, too, is because Barack Obama in 2016 alone dropped 26,171 bombs that we know of without congressional approval. Now, all of a sudden, President Donald Trump is supposedly required to get congressional approval. We would be surprised if there was a federal judge that orders President Trump to go over there and rebuild the nuclear facilities. So was it constitutional what Trump did? Yes. Whether or not you like or agree, that's up for debate. You could talk either yes or no on that. But whether or not he had the authority to do so, that is without question a yes that President Donald Trump did. Now, the thing that is driving everybody bonkers right now is the regime change word. President Donald Trump posting, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MAGA, make Iran great again. So basically, Trump calling on the Iranian people. Now, this is what's going back and forth here. Charlie Kirk put up a poll saying, do you support U.S.-led regime change, removing the Iranian mullahs? That poll's still currently going on. No is 69, 70% of the people saying no. Now, do you, and the question that is being waged too is, would you be upset if there was a regime change led by the Iranian people? Would you support that? If the Iranian people who, listen, I've never been to Iran. All I know is what I see on TV and hear reports of. It seems like the people are not free over there. And I would imagine that they would rather be living under a different regime or leadership. Personally, I could care less about what happens over in Iran. And this brings it to what is the real issue here. And that is, will this lead to a long-standing war with the U.S. and Iran? Because we all know that it was weapons of mass destruction, the lie that led us into a 20-year war over in Iraq. Now, the difference between this is President Donald Trump has struck at Iran in his first administration without that effect happening. He took out Soleimani, although Soleimani was in Iraq at the time that he did it. He was still the Iranian. He still was, representing Iran, and he was taken out. Iran responded by hitting empty military bases, and then that was the end of that. It smoldered out. Will that be the same that happens this time? President Donald Trump now hitting the nuclear facilities. Now, we know that all these presidents had talked about this. Clinton, Obama, Bush, Biden, every one of those presidents has said Iran can't get a nuclear weapon. They can't get a nuclear weapon. Trump now says, we obliterated the Iranian nuclear facilities. So Trump took action to stop this, what they're calling inevitable that they would get this nuclear weapon. It's one of these boy who cried wolf type of things. You told us once that they had these weapons of mass destruction. We went for a 20-year war. They weren't there. Now you're telling us that the nuclear weapon is there. Is it true? We don't know. And that's where you're having the debate come in here with the whole thing. Now, the problem is we can't go by any media, mainstream media, because no matter what happens there, they are going to shape the narrative to make Trump look bad. So whether Trump is in the right, if he's in the wrong, you're never going to know if you're watching mainstream media, because their only objective is to shape the narrative against President Trump. Same thing with the liberals on the left. The same liberals that were supporting Obama for bombing the shit out of all these other countries are now saying, oh, Trump should have never done this. He's not within the Constitution. So you have to tune them out. The important thing here right now is for MAGA influencers, man, you guys are at each other's throats on X, and all it is about is shit posting one another. Like every MAGA influencer, and it's interesting because you don't know who's getting paid influencers, right? We don't know who's getting paid by who. But the MAGA influencers right now, it seems like a measuring contest of who's more MAGA than you, who represents MAGA. I did more to get Trump elected than you did. And it just seems like this fighting, it's in bickering. It's almost like the couple of washwomen that are on X just battling one another. And it's like these guys, I'm talking about the major influencers here from the MAGA party. They need to get together on a podcast, on a Zoom call, make it public, and debate this issue, all right? That's what they need to do. Rather than just continuing to talk trash on one another on X, get together, have a fair, open debate like civil discourse that we are able to do because we're not liberals that jump through the window at the mention of Donald Trump's name. That's what we need. Stop debating the liberals. The liberals are gone anyway. Forget about them. Right now, it's about strengthening this base and supporting President Donald Trump. And that's what it comes down to. President Donald Trump is the one to look to. We don't know what the story is. All we know is what we're seeing and we're reacting to what it is. President Donald Trump is using misdirection. He said, we're going to give them 2 weeks. He ended up was moving stuff all around. Same thing with the trade deals. Nobody knows what President Donald Trump knows. That's the truth. We have to watch what President Donald Trump does, and we still have to believe in, pray for, and have faith in President Donald Trump and our country right now. So I get it that the tempers are high, emotions run quick, but all the dunking on one another from within inside the party isn't doing anything help. What's the alternative here? We just we tell Trump to give the keys to Kamala Harris? I mean, what are we talking about here? So let's stop the nonsense about trying to figure out who's more MAGA than who. What does MAGA mean? MAGA means you support President Donald Trump. That's what it means. If you're MAGA, you support President Trump. If you don't support President Donald Trump, you can't be MAGA. There's only one way to be in the MAGA party, and that is if you support President Donald Trump. That's it. It's his party. So it sounds so ridiculous that people will be like, I'm MAGA, but I don't support Trump. How does that even work? So now we wait to see what is going to be the response here from these other players that are involved here. China, Russia. We have to see how this is all going to unfold. We pray to God that our military is not targeted. We pray to God that we don't lose any troops. None of us want, and I believe this to my heart and core, President Trump does not want to see America involved in a flat-out war. And again, we are not at war. We took a military action. The United States didn't declare war on Iran. Iran didn't declare war as of this video on the United States. So to think that, we're in a new war is nonsense, okay? And what we have to also pray for and watch out for is domestic terrorism right now, because you don't know how many people, because of Joe Biden's open borders, we don't know how many Iranians are in this country. We don't know how many Iran sympathizers are in this country, how many cells that could be activated in this country. So Americans need to stay straight, stay vigilant, and be careful of their surroundings right now. So, I mean, that's how I see it. Right now, I support President Donald Trump. I support America, and I'm waiting to see how this thing all unfolds right now. I mean, I don't want U.S.-led regime change. I don't think that's what President Donald Trump is doing. I think he's trying to spark the flame there that the Iranian people now is the time to rise up against this regime. Again, I don't know. Is this all in our best interest? If you believe that they had a nuclear weapon, then yes. If you believe they didn't have a nuclear weapon, then it's in Israel's best interest that we did this. And so I give you my opinion. I'm based on what I'm seeing. I'm a railroad mechanic. I'm a ham and egger. I'm throwing my 2 cents in. Geopolitics is way over my head. I'm reading and reacting like many of you guys are. My only best suggestion would be the people that are in the know, the people that are well-versed in all this stuff, need to get together and start having the civil discourse so we can bring some type of clarity to the MAGA movement right now, which is led by President Donald Trump and still has my complete and utter support. And again, I pray for him and pray for our country. If you enjoy these breakdowns, make sure you follow the podcast so you can hear why Trump is trending each and every day.
Trump is trending, he's everywhere. From the news to the cat babies in our air.